Okay, we're out in the pasture and we're going to talk about copper. So one of the greatest deficiencies in our society, in our soil, in our animals, in the vegetables, in the people, is copper. So children today are being born with up to 70 times less copper than 100 years ago. And so when a mother is copper deficient and then she has children, the children will be even more copper deficient. And after this carries on for a few generations, you can start running into some serious disease problems. And the number one offender against having good amounts of copper in the soil would be fertilizer, particularly phosphate fertilizers. So they're only able to reach the plant, these fertilizers. They're only able to grow a larger plant if they can first bind up all the copper in the soil, because the phosphate goes in and the copper is like, sure, I'll bind with that. And then they have to add more phosphate. Copper binds with it until eventually all the copper is unavailable in the soil now, and the phosphate can then go to the plant, and then you start seeing fertilizer results. Well, this leaves the soils completely deficient of bioavailable copper. So they can test the soil, but there still isn't really a legitimate test for testing the soil and finding out how much is available. You just see that you have copper, you think you have enough, and yet none of it can go to the plants. So if you've gone a few generations, a few decades or more into this, it's very important to start increasing the amount of copper in your diet again. So common problems from lack of copper, because you need copper to clear histamines in the body, and histamines are what help you deal with foreign proteins in the blood. So if you have allergies, for example, it's because you're taking in some foreign proteins, say it's a pollen, and then your body has to be able to encapsulate that and get rid of it. It needs copper to run those pathways. If you're copper deficient, well, then you have allergies and you have eczema and you have a lot of your Crohn's disease and irritable bowel syndrome. All the inflammation in the intestinal tract is a copper imbalance in the body. Anemia, a lot of people are diagnosed, especially women, with anemia, and they say, oh, you don't have enough iron. And truthfully, the tissue is loaded with iron. Most people have more than enough iron, but they're just not getting enough copper to make that iron available in the bloodstream. And so they keep supplementing iron, and it keeps getting stored in the tissue, and people just get sicker and sicker and sicker. So what can we do about that? Well, we can make sure that we're eating vegetables that aren't fertilized. You don't even want vegetables that are over-fertilized with, say, cattle manure. You want vegetables that are being raised properly with proper balance in the soil. Vegetables that have to work for a living, so they pull up as much mineral as they can. Then you want cattle, especially red meat, your ruminating herbivores. The way they make use of pasture, again, pasture that has not been fertilized. The way that they make use of all that forage, and they eat a large amount of forage and they turn it into a small amount of meat. And so just getting good pasture raised and pasture finished beef is very important. And then if you want to get really concentrated, we're talking the liver. Ruminating herbivore's liver is probably the densest source of bioavailable copper anywhere. So in our store, we don't often have a lot of beef liver. It's quite a scarce commodity. We do have some friends in Fort Macleod, and they're running the company Naked Organs, and we're carrying their product in the store, and it's desiccated bison liver. And that's a really great way of getting your copper up, as is things like well, bee pollen, avocados, pistachios. The plant-based ones aren't nearly as available as getting just good quality meat. It's so, so important. So, yeah, if it sounds kind of like a blanket statement, but at this point, pretty much everyone is short on copper. And that's why so many people immediately feel better when they start eating not just some organic stuff here and there, but they go all organic, and you're getting it from your vegetables and you're getting it from your meat. It just makes such a difference in quality of life. And so here on the farm, we haven't used any fertilizers in, 27 years since Victor and Marilyn started the farm. And you can see it in the health of the animals. You can see it in the fact that neither my cattle or sheep have any parasite problems. It's really a testament to how nutrient dense the pastures are becoming out here after proper management. So come in, get some good food, get some copper back into your liver. It'll be fantastic for your family.